Being a Christian woman and walking in God's calling for our lives can be a difficult task. With the world and pop culture telling us to be one way, and the Bible saying another, you kind of end up feeling like an other. Well, you're not alone. Join me now and my friends as we navigate life in our 20s and 30s, while making sure we live out our faith, embrace our femininity, and looking cute. We discuss pop culture, life, careers, relationships, and so much more. Prepare to be entertained and educated. I know you're going to love it. Join our movement and embrace being another girl. The views expressed on this podcast are our own and do not reflect our employers. Enjoy. Hello, everyone. You are listening to Those Are the Girls with Mallory and Friends. I'm Mallory.
And I'm Francis.
And we are changing culture and bringing back traditional values. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to finally have a guest again. And I have my friend, Francis. I'm super excited to have her on. We've been friends for, I want to say right before, 2019, 2018, maybe.
Somewhere there. It's been a while.
Yeah. It's been a while through conferences and, all that, when some of us were really involved in certain groups and organizations, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That's how we met. And she's just an amazing force. She's a great example of a conservative woman. She's so amazing. I love Francis so much. She will tell you a little bit about who she is, but we're here, as you can see, she has a crown. We're here to talk about pageants. I mentioned it last time we talked. I think we were referencing, it might have been, I think I talked on the podcast about the sketch letters or sketch messages, those those queens were sending out, the Miss Teen something. Anyway, I mentioned that, and I remember saying we should have someone to talk about pageants. And lo and behold, my friend Francis does pageants, so she was perfect person to get for that. Anyway, without further ado, Francis, welcome to the show. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are?
Hey everyone, I'm Francis. How to explain myself? I am obviously a conservative and I'm a Christian, but I am also one of the biggest advocates for school choice as someone who benefited from it. And in addition to that, I also am a military wife and I have a 1-year-old with a husband deployed overseas right now. So you might think, what's this mom doing in pageantry right now while her husband's away? Well, it just has given me more of a voice in finding who I am again and being able to be involved in the community.
I love that. I also love that we actually should talk about school choice. I think I'm going to have you come on another episode and we'll just talk about school choice. But I love that you talk about school choice, you talk about life issue, because I think it's so important for girls especially to see women talking about these issues that are also normal, that you're an average girl, you win pageants, you are married, you have kids, you're not just strictly like this fuddy-duddy. I think it's just so important for girls to see normal people talking about these. And you're also so kind. Last thing I'm going to say about Francis, and then she's going to do more talking. But one thing I really do like about Francis is she's so kind, and she stands for her beliefs and is so kind about it. There are a lot of people in this movement that I've met that it could be for a myriad of reasons, but have kind of turned mean and angry. And I myself have worked on not becoming that. But so many people have turned that. And I believe Francis is one of the few people I have seen throughout this time grow and just continue to, we always say, speak the truth in grace and in love. That is such an important, it's a huge part of Those Are the Girls. To be an other girl, you need to be speaking the truth in grace and in love. And it's just so good and refreshing to hear her. She stands for her beliefs, but if you ever see her in the comments, she's never mean. She's never harsh. She speaks the truth. And then that's that. And it's in grace and in love. Anyway, that's my other 2 cents about Francis. So let's talk a little bit about, let's just get into the pageantry. So what made you want to do, you did Miss USA?
Yes.
So actually, first talk about the difference. What's Miss USA and Miss America?
Oh my goodness. There's Miss USA, which is the one I did. I did the Miss USA system with Miss Georgia USA. And then there's Miss America. So Miss USA it's kind of definitely more known as a beauty pageant. There's a swimsuit portion, which Miss America used to have, but they ended up eventually getting rid of that and switching to fitness. So it's like fitness outfits instead. But Miss USA is more like kind of like a traditional beauty pageant where you have evening gown. It's a lot more of the modeling style stuff, but you really still focus on women's empowerment and you still kind of give women a voice there. It's truly one of the biggest pageant systems in the world, if not the biggest, with Miss USA and Miss Universe. So that's why I wanted to do it. And they just started to let married women and mothers compete, which is also another huge deal for me, and why I obviously can't do Miss America because they don't allow married women in that system. Miss America, though, it's more of a scholarship program, and there's a talent portion within that too. And, I always say, oh, I wish I did it, but I'm also grateful that I get to use my voice still within the Miss USA system because it is such a large system. So I am grateful to have that kind of opportunity.
Okay, so when you say there is an opportunity for talent, both of them don't do so. Like, I guess, is that the big difference, the swimsuit and the talent aspect?
Yeah, so Miss America, it has that talent aspect in it, but it's definitely more platform based where the girls actually develop their platforms to a
Okay.
degree that they're actually advocating for it in their communities. And there is a
Oh,
huge
okay.
service award that they have within the Miss America organization too.
Okay, cool,
So
cool. Okay.
you don't necessarily need to do it in the Miss USA system, but it's still expected. So that's something I like, that it's not required, but it's kind of expected. And you just have a lot more flexibility on what you can do with that. And you don't need to feel like you're competing with the other girls when you do service oriented opportunities.
Cool, cool. So, okay, what made you decide you really wanted to do this?
Honestly, I don't know. Someone a few years ago just basically said, oh, you need to start doing pageants. And this was 2021. I was about to get engaged. I was about to get married. And lo and behold, the next year after getting married, I got pregnant when they announced that in the Miss USA system that they would allow married women and mothers to compete. It's like, well, obviously I can't do it right now, and definitely not after I give birth. So I said finally at the end of 2020, I'm going to apply. I'm just going to see what happens and we'll go from there. And one of my best friends also does pageantry in the Miss America system. You know her, Justine Murray, and she just
Yes, shout out to
inspired
Justine.
me. She just inspired me because she made me realize that pageants are more than just about beauty. They're really about having a platform and a voice.
I love that. I honestly don't know much about pageants. I know what I see on TV. I know the little I've watched from you and Justine, but I really don't know much about them. So it's been really like interesting watching you. And can you tell us a little about the process? So when you decide you want to do it, do you like sign up on a website, fill out an application? How does it go?
You just apply through the website in the USA system. You just apply and you kind of get an appointed title from there, or you can do one of the local competitions and get more sponsorships as you prepare for the state competition. It's obviously competitive, but the reason why I was able to choose my title and get it appointed, I'm very happy about that because I am representing my community as a military wife and a military mom, because having my husband away and taking care of my 1 year old, I wanted to represent that. And I know I haven't said that, but my title is Miss Fort Eisenhower USA, which is the name of the base here in Augusta, Georgia.
Cool. So once you've applied and you've been appointed, what really happens next? Do you start with your platform? How do you get sponsors?
Oh my goodness. I was so scared to do sponsorships because it's not really required, but I just wanted to show that, hey, I am involved in the community and I want to
Yeah.
know who I can represent. Sponsorships, it's about like fundraising so you can pay for all your fees, or just showing off some outfit or something. Like you were a sponsor when you gave me those earrings, and I wore those for my interview. I wish I had them on me right now so I can just show them. They were absolutely beautiful and shiny.
Yay.
And it just made my outfit stand out. So Mal was one of my sponsors in that regard. But I also fundraised from some of the businesses that I already was working with. I had one of my photographers be one of my sponsors. And I also had my chiropractor be a sponsor. Then I had several friends and community members just donate. And I wrote them a letter saying, hey, thank you for being one of my sponsors. And your name will be listed in the booklet, or I'll share about you on social media.
Cool. Okay. So you have your sponsors, you get your sponsors, and then the day of the pageant comes. When I was looking at your Instagram, it really did look like everyone was so nice and encouraging, because in my head from movies, I'm expecting like girls being mean and catty and just kind of like being rude, but everybody genuinely looked like they liked each other and they were happy for each other.
Mm-hmm.
How is the environment? Like behind the scenes, how is it? Truly.
It is truly a sisterhood unlike any other. And I feel like for the last several years, I have been missing that sisterhood. My sisterhood go-to was in Washington, D.C. And with this group that sadly no longer existed, Future Female Leaders, that was my sisterhood. That was my tribe. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Mel and I were both on the cabinet for that. And it was such a wonderful time being able to promote conservative values, wearing very cute outfits all the time. And this is just a tribe that I have been looking for so long. And, not everyone's going to agree with you politically or see eye to eye, but we support each other regardless, because we all are different. We all have our own ambitions and goals. And sure, there are going to be maybe one or two girls who are kind of outliers that just want to be like, oh, I'm here, I'm the best. But in reality, most girls really are just excited to be there and be there for you, because they realize you're not their competition. They realize that like you're going to be their best buddy. You're not going against each other. You're going against yourself.
Oh, I like that attitude. What is do you have like any fun stories or anything that you want to share from this previous pageant? Like, was there a moment where you were just like overwhelmed with like happiness or something like that?
Oh my goodness. I mean, it was even before the pageant. I just was so excited to promote my school choice platform. I got to meet with the office of Governor Brian Kemp the day before Miss Georgia USA. He obviously wasn't there. Governor Kemp was out of the country, but being able to promote school choice and talk about that, especially with military families and bringing that together, it was just kind of that last slam dunk before I went into the competition. And I thought this would be an absolute wonderful story to bring up in the interview, knowing I had just done that the day before. And of course, I did several media interviews here in Georgia and even a few national, being able to promote that school choice platform and explain me as a military mom who was able to take care of her son and still work at the same time and still do her pageant outreach and platform work.
Wow. Wow, that is, I mean, that's really, I just think things like that are so important to have, like, girls who are not just political. We talk about this all the time on the podcast, that a lot of our conservative influencers are conservative influencers, and a lot of influencers that are liberal are blank influencer that happens to be liberal. So it's always so good to see conservatives, people who have similar values, Christians who are doing other things. So I think that's amazing that you're able to do that. My question though is, how did the judges receive your school choice? Did anybody push back against that? Did any of the other pageant girls push back against that? Or was everybody kind of like, oh, I don't know too much about this. This is good information?
Honestly, everyone just seemed so receptive to it. Everyone was kind of excited. I mean, the judges didn't hear much about it, but I tied my school choice platform when they asked the question. You said you want to start my micro school related to music for children, and that's something I eventually want to do someday. I don't know how. I don't know when it's going to happen, maybe when my son's in school. But I said, I believe every child deserves the best education that works for them, and I believe every child needs music regardless of what they're doing, and this is why I have tied that to my school choice platform, because every child deserves that. And sometimes not every child these days, especially in the public school system, will receive that music education as they're trying to cut them. So I believe school choice is the answer to bringing back music to our students and our children.
Love, 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 love. And I know school choice is really important to you because because of school choice, you were able to get a good education. Can you talk a little bit about that? My mic.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit
Oh
about
my
that?
goodness. I know we're definitely going to talk about this another time because we have such a big discussion on it. So,
Yeah.
being an immigrant, my family had no idea what the education system would be like here, but they prioritized education for both my sister and me as immigrants because they wanted for us to seek the American dream. And we started at a private school, but unfortunately, it started becoming a financial struggle for us. And eventually, it just led us to going to a charter school, which was the next best option. So, if we had school choice scholarships, we would have been able to stay longer at our private school or even find another better private school that worked for us. But the charter school helped me reach my goals and receive a lot of scholarships. And same for my sister, who got into one of the top universities in this country.
Yay, that's so good. And because it's so personal, I think that's also why like people can hear you talk about it passionately. I think it's really good that that's your platform. Another question I have is, as a mom, you are, well, as a mom, as a Christian, as a conservative, you are pro-life. You are very adamant about life from womb to tomb. How have you been able to incorporate that, or have you been able to incorporate that in pageantry? And if not, what are some things that you like? What is a way that you're kind of like showing it without necessarily saying it? Because I think sometimes people get really caught up or like get really nervous that they're not wearing like a t-shirt every single day, but they want everyone to know that they're pro-life. They want everyone to know like, we'll help your baby. But what are some ways that you do it and it's not as like blatant, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
For me, the pro-life aspect for this was show, not tell. Because sometimes when people hear pro-life, they think, oh my goodness, she's against women's choice. And it's like, I believe there's a lot that women should be able to choose in their life, whether they want a career, whether they want a family, whether they want kids. But when it's a child, I believe you're denying their right to live. And I sometimes think of this, I'm a conservative, but I'm also somewhat libertarian. And I just think it's against the non aggression principle because you're denying someone else's right to life at that point. And from how I see it, I want to be able to bring better resources to mothers, expecting mothers especially. And here's the part where it's just really my heart, and I never want to shame anyone who's got an abortion because it is a very difficult decision and it's very painful. And I've seen so many women struggle after they get an abortion. And I just want to make sure that they have help. And I don't want to say, oh, how was it? I want to ask, hey, is everything okay? How are you? That's kind of that starting point and how they reach healing at some point. And just being a mother, I just want to show, hey, I can do all of this. I can be a mom. I can do my work. I was able to go to Washington, D.C. to advocate for my causes. And I'm able to be involved in the community, even while my husband is deployed, all while taking care of my 1-year-old son. And that was an absolute difficult feat. And I have no idea how I did it, but all thanks to God, he was able to get me through this all, because being pro-life is very important to me. And if you probably saw during the pageant, I actually wore some pro-life jewelry in addition to Mallory's earrings. I wore some earrings and even a necklace from Culture of Life 1972, a wonderful brand that is, believe it or not, based here in Georgia. So I got a little bit of Georgia business representation, but also representing pro-life values while on the stage. I love my church. We have a ministry where we reach out to women, especially those in need. So Pregnancy Care Center, and I love that. I haven't been part of it yet, but hopefully at some point I'll be more involved in that, because that is where my heart is. And I believe that's where the heart of the pro-life movement is, those pregnancy resource centers and women's outreach groups.
So we had a quick technical difficulty, but everything should be back in line. I don't really remember the last thing we said, but I know what I was going to ask you. I kind of just want to talk now really quick about femininity and beauty. Carla, who is the mom leader of Culture of Life 1975, mom owner, mom boss, mom CEO, whatever you want to call her. She was on the podcast a couple months ago, and she made the comment. This wasn't her exact words, but she said, nowhere in the Bible does it say we have to dress frumpy or be frumpy. And I love that. Like, I think that's so important for us to remember. You can be cute and modest, and still dress really nice. So let's talk a little bit about that, like beauty and femininity as a Christian woman. When you are doing pageants, like how, I guess, just like talk about that. What are your thoughts on the words I just said, I guess?
Wow, there's just something very beautiful about femininity, especially in pageantry. A lot of people don't realize that even when we wear our swimsuits, we have certain regulations on those. I wouldn't say regulations, but expectations on those. They need to be full coverage, and whether that's a one-piece swimsuit or a two-piece swimsuit, they still need to be like full coverage, not
like
showing
that.
too much. I was like, wow, it's so crazy that even if I wore a two-piece swimsuit, I had like full coverage in certain areas. And it was just weird to see that. And thinking about certain things that have happened in our movement. Yeah, I know we're not talking about Calendar Gate in depth, but it was kind of weird to see, like, wow, how is the Miss USA pageant system have more expectations on a little bit more modesty? I wouldn't even say it's modesty, but of not showing too much, showing a lot without showing too much, compared to this Calendar Gate situation. And I'm kind of both sides of Calendar Gate. Like, yeah, Calendar Gate, I didn't like everything that was in it, but I'm like, this also isn't of the devil at the same time.
I don't think
it's just something
demonic.
was there.
Yeah, I didn't think it was demonic. I just was like, this is kind of like, I thought it was terrible, especially as it was marketed to dads. Because I just kept thinking, really quick, a side tangent on Calendar Gate.
Exactly.
I just kept thinking, like, I am working from, or like, my husband works a nice job, so I don't have to work. I bring him his lunch. I'm going to his office to bring him his lunch, and then I look over and like some girl in a bathtub is like hanging in his office, and like to me that's just so crazy. Like, why would you?
Yeah, I mean, if it was a photo of me, I wouldn't mind. But
that actually sounds like a cute gift.
Photos of
like giving him a calendar of just me, like that's cute. But just some random woman in a bathtub, like that's just so crazy to me. Anyway, yeah, that is interesting that there are those. Because you're right, it's not necessarily modesty behind why they want. Because I mean, people still wore bikinis, so it's not modesty, but like, I guess respect, for lack of a better word. I just think that, and you know, this is controversial and people are going to disagree, which is fine. You can disagree with me, but I do think there is not necessarily like you should be able to lay butt naked in the middle of the road and everybody should still respect you. But the reality is that's not how life is. Like, life is not like that. So I think that when you cover yourself up to a degree, specifically, you know, covering quote unquote bikini areas, it is a level of like you're respecting your body. Not everybody should see you. Not everybody has to see you like that. So that's just my 2 cents.
Exactly. And I say I am not necessarily doing it because I'm told to do, not because of my faith, not because of any expectations or because I don't want men to see certain parts. It's just about respecting my body and who I am. And plus, I feel like when I dress modestly, I feel the happiest and most sexy and cute at the same time. And Culture of Life, I love their outfits and I wear them quite often. Probably not as much right now, but I'm wearing Ivy City.
Love them
Ivy City right now. So I just love the feminine vibes, no matter what it is, whether it's like modern feminine, old school feminine. I'm just all about dressing feminine and, you know, even acting feminine. And I feel like pageantry has taught me an aspect of femininity that I've never seen myself in before. Because guess what? This girl grew up such a tomboy, and a lot of my work in public policy, most of the field is full of guys. And just being able to have a little bit of femininity, whether it was on Capitol Hill wearing some bright blue or pink dress, or in my work meeting or meeting with a member of Congress, I just wanted to add a bit of pop of color, because just seeing the little dark, bland suits, I was like, that's not me. I just want to be able to show a bit of myself and who I am. And that's what I love about femininity. And plus, I'm trying to be a Proverbs 31 woman for my husband.
Okay, I love that. All right, girlfriend. Love, love, love. I agree with everything you said. I think that, especially, what I do, which I haven't really shared. I'll share one day. But obviously people know that I'm in politics. And yeah, I'm 9 times out of 10, I'm the only person in a pink dress or just a bright color or whatever. And I do think that it's great to add a sense of femininity. I think that no matter where you work, obviously, like if there's a dress code, don't wear pink. Okay, fine, don't wear pink. But you can still add your own feminine touch. Maybe the way you do your hair. Maybe, maybe adding curls to your hair, wearing earrings, like a certain type of earrings or a necklace. I don't think we should ever, as women, give up our femininity and give up like some of our girly girlness just for the careers that we're in. I think it's really important for us to still continue that, because this is what makes us women. It's what makes us unique. It's what makes up your personality. And I don't think you should have to give that up for jobs. I don't think you should have to give that up for friends. You shouldn't have to give that up for people. And one thing that I really liked about Barbie Summer last year was so...
Wow, that came out a year ago.
I know. Barbie came out a year. I know. What I loved about Barbie Summer was that I saw all these posts, all these TikToks, Instagrams, or whatever, people talking about how they are finally coming back to their femininity, because when they grew up, they felt like being feminine was kind of weak. And I personally didn't have that experience. So like I didn't struggle with that. But people were saying like they realized they love the color pink, and it just like really made me happy that as women, people are feeling comfortable being feminine, and how femininity is, it's who we are. Now, it doesn't make you less of a woman or a bad person if you don't like pink or if you don't like to dress up. That's fine. But for the people that do,
my femininity makes me strong.
Yes. And for the people who do like that type of stuff, I think it's just really important and like relieving to like hear, hey, do it, be that. If you want to wear dresses and skirts all the time, please do. Don't stop. Just because your friends are all wearing jeans, who cares? Wear dresses, wear skirts, wear rompers. I'm saying this is literally what I do all the time. But do it. It's fun. There's nothing wrong with it. And I just love that you were able to like kind of experience that and see that through pageantry. I think it sounds like that was a really good experience, which is so crazy. Once again, like I didn't know much about it. And I think a lot of people who are listening probably don't know too much about it other than movies. I think really what we know about it is like from movies, and it's just been really good hearing a little bit about it. One other question I want to ask you, I kind of want to talk a little bit about like how, trying to think of how to word this, how I guess the systems are changing. We covered on the podcast, it might have just been a solo episode, but I think it was a solo episode actually. I talked about a transgendered woman, male to female person, one, I think it was like Miss Maryland or something like that. Can you kind of talk about like your feelings on that? How does that affect the pageant world? Do you think that's the direction we're going in, or do you think women are going to stand up against that? What are your thoughts?
Wow, this is a crazy question. And I want to come from this from a place of understanding and love, but at the same time speaking the truth, as we said. It was interesting because when Miss Maryland USA won, Bailey Ann Kennedy, it was exciting to see a married person finally win. And I'm like, this is finally needed. But after hearing that this person is trans, like, oh, that makes it even harder, because this person genuinely seems like such a nice person. It's like someone you'd want to actually hang out with. And she's also, I don't really want to say she's a she, but this person's also a military spouse. This person's a military spouse. So it was really exciting to see kind of that connection that Bailey and I had. But knowing that this person was trans, and actually not a lot of people knew this person was trans until after this person won. So that was really heartbreaking for those who had worked hard and realized, just imagine changing the same room as this person, not knowing this person's a biological
Yeah.
man. And that is scary as someone who is also a mom. And going into Miss Georgia USA, I remember thinking, what if there is someone who is a biological male who transitioned into a female? And not to mention, we shared the same room as teenagers. So you never know what would happen. And of course, in the Miss USA system, you legally have to be a woman. So you can't be, how do we say this? Someone parade like official like unofficially a man parading as a woman. Obviously, as we know that these trans people have transitioned because like of their experiences, and it's kind of sad that they've had to transition because pageantry is all about being open about being who you
Yeah.
are. And it's just kind of sad. And maybe what we can do is that there should be maybe some kind of trans pageantry. Obviously, the Miss USA system and Miss Universe system's so big now that I get why they started adding more of that, but it's also heartbreaking. Miss Universe Philippines, actually right now doesn't allow trans people to compete, and I'm sure that's the same case in other countries. So hopefully, there's a way to bring it back to saying, "Hey, women need to be in women's spaces because we are very biologically, mentally, physically, and spiritually different than men. Where we think so differently." And I've been learning this a lot lately from different scenarios talking to some of my guy friends. And guys are definitely physically differently. Like guys have less cellulite.
Right.
And obviously if they transition a few years after, they do end up getting cellulite. But then guys also have less body fat. Guys are also naturally taller and skinnier. So I get kind of jealous of guys, and especially if they transition to women, they're all of a sudden these beautiful people on stage that are just so tall, poised, and they look like they're already going to be the next Miss Universe, even if there hasn't been a trans Miss Universe winner yet, or even a Miss USA winner. And it's just heartbreaking to see that because men and women are just so different, and we are created different for a
Yeah.
reason.
And I think I really liked what you said about how it's supposed to be based on like loving yourself, and I think that you made a good point about how it is actually, it's sad. I think most people who have transitioned, which is why like I've made a video here and there about Dylan, or like I've made comments, but like I really don't like to like harper, because I do think a lot of people, especially the ones who are like all in your face and like really have to let you know that they're I think I truly believe there's something like they've had some tragic event happen. I don't think it's just out of pure like their life has gone a-okay their whole time and they just happen to do. So I think that you made a very good point about how like sometimes like the idea of not loving yourself and like how you're kind of sad for them. I do think you kind of hit something there. I think that's definitely um
And here's just generally something I've learned from the LGBTQ people on the right is that there are people who don't want to be super open about it. They don't want to make it their entire
yeah.
personality. And they say, "Hey, I mean, I'm this way because I'm this way." I mean, I don't necessarily agree with them 100%, but at the same time, it's kind of tragic because not everyone wants to be open about their sexuality. And if it's like all in your face, it almost feels like pressure to come out in
Yeah.
that regard.
Yeah. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's a tough topic because, like you said, I do think a lot of
Mm-hmm.
those people are sad and a lot of them to be pitied. And I don't mean that in like a, you're to be pitied. No, I mean that in like a, I'm praying for you. Like, I really hope
Mm-hmm.
what's best for you type of way. But I do think I mean, we have to have women's spaces. I cannot imagine changing, in a locker room or in a space where there is a biological male. That is scary just in general. You know,
And I just want to say something for the listeners. Obviously, I don't want to
no, no,
take up
no.
what you're saying, but we're not hating on people who are trans
Right.
or LGBTQ. We're trying to show love for them even in ways we disagree with them.
Yes, I think, and once again, like not to like brag on us and make it seem like we're better, but like I do think this is one of the differences between listening to us and like some other people. Like I hope you can hear our heart is truly we love and care about people. Like, we want people to be their best, to do their best, to, you know, honor God, to, like, that is our heart. We don't, you know, I don't want anyone to be hurt. I just want everybody to be at their best. And we know that God gives us a standard and X, Y, and Z. But yeah, so I do think this is another space that we just do have to fight to make sure that it is women only. I mean, we're fighting in sports.
It's a safety reason. It's the reason why I fight for women's spaces, because it's safety. And, you know, we have fought for decades for just women's spaces in general. And now we're all of a sudden being erased because of these men who want to transition into women. It's just erasing women at that point.
Okay, so last question I want to ask you is, if anyone is listening and they want to do pageants, or they're feeling like they want to put themselves out there when it comes to their beauty, and like they want to be an advocate.
Honestly, wow, it means a lot that you say I'm confident, because sometimes I feel like I am not confident today. I actually lost.
You are so confident.
My confidence for the last several years, especially after having my son, because I just kind of lost my identity in who I was. And obviously my identity is in Christ, first and foremost. And that's how I truly led. Confidence, though, it's just getting out there. You just need to do something. If you even think about it, just go do it. Honestly, what's the worst that can happen? I think my biggest fear preparing for this pageant was truly getting back into shape. And I thought at first, I'm just going to do a one-piece swimsuit. It's okay. People won't see like anything. But the more I saw changes in my body, I was like, no, I might actually want to do a two-piece swimsuit. And I did it. And I rocked it on stage. Sure, it wasn't perfect, but they don't expect you to be perfect. They just want you to have fun and be yourself. That's what pageantry is about. You just have fun and be yourself. It doesn't matter the system you're in. And it doesn't, as I said, it doesn't matter what pageant system you're in. There is a pageant system for everybody, every single woman and girl out there. So if you just want to take a shot at pageantry, maybe just look up your local pageant or a local county fair pageant, and that's the one that you might enter. Or if you're a married woman, there are so many Mrs. pageants now, or if you really want to do Miss USA, feel free. But there are so many Mrs. Women's pageants out there too, and they're not any less just because they're a Mrs. pageant. If anything, they're pretty much equal and just as competitive and difficult, but they're just meant for married women. And I believe that's absolutely beautiful that we have spaces for every type of woman that wants to do a pageant. So I'd love you to do a pageant at some point, Mal. Sorry.
That. Thank you so much for coming on. Ooh,
you love your femininity. Just try. It's like, it doesn't matter if you win or not, because the real winners are just the real winners are those who just enjoy themselves and who are able to promote their work and platform. The journey to the pageant is so important, and so many people forget that.
Yeah. I'm just so easily swayed, because like the more you talk about it, like it sounds fun. It almost like I almost want to do one. Like, I mean, you're kind of convincing me. Look, I'll have to think about it. But thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate having you on, and I think this was such a really good episode. I think we touched on a lot of great things. And everyone,
my social media,
share as well.
Mal will probably tag me. It's Francis Ann Flo, FrancisAnnFlo. That's on Instagram and Twitter.
Contact with you.
Yes.
If anyone has
and then if you want to reach me via email, that's Francis FRANCES at Francis Floresca. Yes. That's FRANCESFLORESCA.com. Yeah, that's my maiden name, but because of all my work, I still have to have my maiden name. That I'm not a feminist. I promise. I promise that I use that because of my work, and it's already out there under Floresca because I had used all that before I was married. So I have to keep Floresca somehow. Pageantry and some other things, that's different because I can include my married name. And obviously with pageantry, I want to show, yeah, I'm married and I'm proud of being married to a wonderful husband who's in the military and absolutely hot and attractive. Oh, Alec. Yeah. It's all good.
Oh, shout out to Alex. All right. Alec. Ooh, Alec. I do that every single time. I don't know why. I do that every single time. Anyway, Alec, I hope you enjoyed this episode. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. If you like this episode, make sure you first of all, make sure you follow Francis. She's a great follow. And then make sure you let us know. Did you learn some things about pageantry? Are you thinking about doing a pageant now? Has your interest
I
been
think that's
sparked? Let me
it.
know in the
Honestly,
comments.
we touched on so much.
Share with your
I obviously want to
friends.
talk about school
Rate,
choice
review,
more, pro-life
subscribe.
movement more, and
However,
everything else.
whatever platform
So
you're using,
maybe another episode
communicate
at
with
some
me.
point. As I said, I
Let me think
want to
anything
start
else.
my
I think
policy
that's it. You want to add
podcast at
anything
some
else,
point, but
Francis?
I'm just so busy right now. So just joining you is already fun. I can't wait to see you at some point soon.
Yes, yes. Love you. Everyone, have a good day, night, evening, however, wherever you're listening. Bye.